Good afternoon. My name is Adam Deerstein. Welcome to my Skillshare presentation on creating typographic badges. This tutorial is based on the Skillshare class by Jeremy Mura. Jeremy is a designer and illustrator based in Sydney, Australia, specializing in helping startups and emerging brands communicate through design with their target audience. You can find more of his work on Twitter, Instagram, and his YouTube channel. We'll start in Illustrator with a 2000 pixel by 2000 pixel document in RGB mode at 300 pixels per inch. After creating the document, go to File, then Document Setup, check Simulate Color Paper, and set the paper color to black. I always start by dividing my workspace according to the project. For this type of project, divide the horizontal and the vertical and give us our center. It all starts with the circle. Next, I laid out the structure for the badge. I started with the largest circle at 1618 pixels, then copied it using Command C and did a paste in front using Command F. And then I scaled each circle down by the golden ratio. With the Type on the Path tool selected, I used the middle circle and added the brand name to fill the space. I adjusted the vertical scale on the type accordingly. Then use the innermost circle to add the year the brand was started. For this, I honestly recommend duplicating your paths before converting them to type paths. That way you can use them later on. With our main text placed, we can now build out the rest of our badge structure. Using your pen tool, close off the upper text to ensure everything stays symmetrical. We'll use the reflect tool. The shortcut key for this is the letter O. With your path selected, press the Alt key, then click on the bottom anchor of our center circle to set the reflection point. Use a vertical reflect and then select copy. Next, we'll want to duplicate both of our text paths and then rotate them 180 degrees. Your text will be upside down at this point, but don't fret. If you zoom in on your text path, you'll see an upside down T. If you mouse over this with your cursor, it will change to an arrow. Click on the arrow and drag it in the direction you want to move the text to. This allows you to change how the text is anchored on the path. We'll move the text to the inside of the path. Then we'll edit our text for the necessary adjustments. For this badge, we use the city and state of the brand. Next, we'll add a new text box with the letters T, R, and D for trademark. I added a 9-degree angle to this to align it with that little section there. Next, I duplicated the text box and dragged it to its mirror section and added a -9 degree to match the left side. And I changed the text to MRK for Mark. In the center, we added the brand initials. All in all, this is a pretty solid design on its own, but I think we can do a little bit more with it. First, I placed a fractal I created into the document behind the brand initials. Then with the brand initials and the fractal selected, I created a clipping mask. That way it applies the fractal onto the text. I have a special place in my heart for sacred geometry. I tend to put it into a lot of my designs one way or another. Sometimes it's really in your face, other times it's hidden within the pixels I set my shapes to, or how big of a font that I use, but I always try to sneak it in there some way. For this project, I'm going to go ahead and use a full flower of life and place one that I've previously created into this document. Next, I created a compound path based on the text layout. Again, I told you to copy those circles. There's a reason for it. So again, always keep copies of your paths. That way you can go back and reuse them if you need to. Using the compound path that we just created, I applied a clipping mask to the flower of life. That way it fit with the overall design. I also masked out the center so only the brand initials occupy this space and the flower of life actually kind of flows out of it. But we're not done yet. Who doesn't love Photoshop? While Illustrator is a strong tool on its own, I do find it has some limitations when it comes to applying some artistic-like effects. For this, we'll go ahead and we'll export the Illustrator file we created to Photoshop. Select File, then Export As. Change the file type to PSD. In the Export Options screen, I chose to write the layer for maximum editability and allow no anti-aliasing. This option, when I used it before, it seemed to cause the layers to not align properly as I had them in Illustrator. I started by adding an outer glow to the flower of life and toning down its opacity. I then added a dotted texture to the text and added a slight pillow emboss to give it kind of some depth and texture. Next, I added a paper texture to the supporting badge structure. And then to round it all out, I added a slight drop shadow to the brand initials. And now we have our finished project. To me, this is a well-rounded out badge. It has some good color, some depth to it, it's well balanced, and it's true to the brand identity. Thank you for spending your time with me and learning on how to create a badge in Illustrator with some minor Photoshop work. Thanks.